on Terraform. So we'll see if Zeal tries to go for that again, or maybe he'll go for the more standard gateway expand, or uh, I don't know. We'll see how Zeal plays it out.
He did a Forge Fast expand in the first game, and then a Gate expand on the other ones. Forge Fast expand will work very well, but I have a feeling JimRising's second Overlord will be meandering on over to that natural base, though. Here we are on Terraform for the first game in this best of 3 series. In the top left-hand corner, the Red Zerg player from Endurance Esports. It is JimRising.
All right, and in the bottom right, we have the yellow Protoss from Zeal, and he's up to something sneaky here. This probe is coming across the map. This has got to be a 2-gate.
A 2-bait could do a lot of damage in this situation. Sadly, the probe coming up so early, if JimRising saw it, he has not yet, but with seeing that early probe, you can kind of just say, okay, I know you're 2-gating, and there's the first pylon. JimRising still has not seen it whatsoever, and it looks like, sadly, he may be going for a hatch first. He could very well do a 14-14 or a pool first. It's up in the air, though.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he decides to go for that pool or that hatch first. That's kind of the key to holding this. If you go for a pool first, it's a pretty manageable hold. If you can scout the 2-gate, but if you go for that hatch and then scout it, it's really hard.
There was a game not scouted. There was a game I played. Oh, it will be a pool first by JimRising. Beautifully, he may have the hold, and there's the scout. Does see it. JimRising is a much better position, but I saw a hatch first against a 2-gate, and the Zerg just kind of transferred into his natural as his main, and then they ended up playing out the game like that. Like you eventually overcame even with the hatch first, but it was really hard to do and it required so much micro. We'll see, because it is going to be Zealots coming out of Zeal. Or it will have to be Zealots.
There was a game from some Korean Zerg. I forget who it was, but on this map he put his spawning pool similar to where JimRising's was, and then he put a spine crawler next to it, and then walled it in with an Evo chamber, so the Zealots couldn't kill the spine. But Jim's just gonna go ahead and put that in his mineral line.
An Evo chamber may be worth it, but desperately JimRising, he will need all of his minerals for Zerglings here. Maybe he wanted the larva, though. I think the Evo chamber might be a cool idea. Just a lot of different positions it can get itself into, but now 6lings are out, and they're going to try to get a surround. They actually get a decent surround right here. Will almost kill this Zealot. Maybe one drone will have to come in and finish that bad boy off. Currently, that Zealot is only at 8 health of 1 drone damage worth. Could kill it, and those drones desperately need to mine through into the minerals, and there they will kill one. Focusing down the second one. Spinecrawler gets up, but only with 31 health left, and barely it survives. The Queen is out and injecting.
That was a bit of micro by Zeal. He turned onto the drones with the spinecrawler being so low. I think he could have gotten it if he had stayed attacking. But the spinecrawler will live. It's really low, so Jim still has to protect it with all of his Zerglings. But it's going to be huge in keeping these ults back.
Killing that Spinecrawler would have been huge, but exactly as you said, it will be a great buffer to keep these Zealots back, and by JimRising, a little bit of time. 6 more lings on the way and a second Queen. I really like the idea of a second Queen. Interestingly enough, a second Spinecrawler too for JimRising. I feel like he may want to cancel that and transfuse his current Spinecrawler, but for now, he will let it finish. By the way, at home for Zeal, he is starting to make a cybernetic score, and we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, there's no gas for Jim, but I don't know how much these Stalkers are going to do against the defensive one-base Zerg of Jim. These lings are making a break for Zeal's base here, and there's no units. He couldn't be making a mothership core right now, but he has chosen not to. He doesn't have the gas for it. But if these lings get into Zeal's base, I think he might just have to tap out. There's absolutely nothing here, and there's way too many lings to be fought by the probes.
This is a completely different game than Game 1 of the first series. This is a rematch, guys, and JimRising is looking pretty good. Mothership core is on the way, but 3 probes have already gone down, and these drones, sorry, these lings are just denying so much mining time that they could even easily get another kill here, but desperately, the probes are drilling into these minerals, trying to buy themselves as much time as they can, but 4 have gone down. Lings still trying to do damage, and it looks like barely Zeal has defended.
Alright, so the working count is equalized, but Jim, knowing he's completely safe to any pressure, is going to be able to make as many drones as he wants. The Mothership core and 2 Zealots are pushing across the map, but with the 2 Queens out and all the Spines, this really should not do any significant damage.
Because of the early spine, or early second spine from JimRising, he has put himself into a very nice position. As you said, taking his natural, he's looking like everything's going to be fantastic. Even as Overlords here, albeit they could be killed by a Stalker, something of the sort, but it's only Zealots right now for Zeal, and really right here, as long as JimRising's got some kiting or as a transfuse, he should be fine. No transfuse quite yet, and actually will use it on that inject, but the Spine Crawler will push back those Zealots. JimRising looking like he's coming into a nice stage of the game. Is finally mining gas, and we'll see where he goes from here.
Alright, Zeal looks like he wants to take a Nexus here. He's going to go into that delayed macro game. He's just going to be incredibly far behind, though. JimRising has full vision of this Nexus with that Overlord sitting there, and he can, and he might decide to turn on this pressure here with this Roach Warren finishing up.
Not only with Roach Warren, but also JimRising, he has Metabolic Boost on the way. Only mining off 1 gas, but at this stage of the game, with this kind of economy, he can put on a lot of pressure. Desperately, Zeal's going to try to get up a gate, some sort of wall at his natural base, but Lings start working on the pylon, and almost that Overlord gets away. For now, though, JimRising looking pretty darn good here. His natural base is up, trying to get the kill. Does actually manage to get that pylon kill. Completely supply blocks Zeal right here. Beautiful for JimRising. Pulls back, and he may just be able to make a fantastic counterattack or just repost into his opponent with this Roaches.
So I like this decision here from Jim. He's going to go into a lair in a 3rd base, and he's going to be able to just pump out Ling Hydra, which is really good against anything Protoss can do on 2 bases. Similar to the last time they played on this map, Jim was just able to get out enough Hydras and push back Zeal's aggression here. And I think he's going to go for a similar style here as well.
Even though JimRising does not have his gold base, he's still, as you said, he's really ahead in the economy, and so he should be able to go safely into Hydras. For now, though, Zeal is trying to scout that. He does know that, okay, I just need to see it. I need to see what you're doing. If you're doing like some crazy Muta switch or doing Hydras, whatever, I need to have eyes on it. And right now he does see the Evolution Chamber wiggling. It's kind of hard to tell if he really can see that or not, but he knows that generally Roaches will be coming, and now the Hydralisk Den is being thrown down. Phoenix won't quite scout it yet. Oh, doesn't see it. Does spot the Hydralisk Den.
Yeah, that's a big scout here, because with the gases that Jim has taken, he's got 4 fully mining gases in a lair. He could have thrown on a Spire just as easily. Zeal didn't know that it was +1 attack being researched from the Evo Chamber. It could have been melee or Carapace or something like that. So seeing the Hydra Den lets him know exactly what he needs to prepare for. And he's going to respond with a really greedy 3rd base. And I say greedy given how the game's open. 11 minutes is pretty late for a 3rd base, but having the failed 2 gate.
Ooh. Spire is actually going to go down for JimRising off the back of this. A little bit of mind games, and for Zeal, I mean, if he can capitalize off the 3rd base, get probes instantly there, and start to pay it off, and maybe that can put him into a position where he can go like 3 base blink, something like that. Still, though, it's very greedy, and sentries v the Mutas are not going to be a good idea. JimRising basically is just going to try to surprise Zeal, which he will not. Zeal does scout the Spire beautifully enough.
Yeah, the nice thing about the Zerg is that the Spire getting scouted means that Zeal has to react and prepare for it. JimRising doesn't actually have to do anything with it beyond that 200 investment. He doesn't have to make a single Muta or Corruptor this entire game, but Zeal has to react knowing that that is a possibility.
Definitely with the nature of Zerg, you just got to react, and they have the option to or not. Fantastic point. And biggest thing right now for Zeal is he's after playing on 3 base. He's like those 2 base positions. And like you were saying, it's a 200 investment. While it's not like JimRising is desperately trying to push out roaches or anything, he's even taking a 4th base, getting his creep tumor spread going. So right now for Zeal, this is looking very, very scary for him. He's gonna throw down Twilight, he's gonna go Blink, and he may be able to do, as I was saying, a big Blink Stalker all in. But JimRising looking like he's in such a strong position. How he's got mutas coming out, Hydra's out on the map, and they do have +1. Maybe down, but that's only gonna buy like maybe 30, 45 seconds for Zeal.
Yeah, that's a great point you made with that creep spread. It's getting onto Zeal's half of the map. It's just going to continue to grow. Zeal really doesn't have any way to push that back. And it's just going to give Jim so much time to respond to any sort of pressure or even attack that Zeal tries to put out.
Oh man, there is these 2 Stalkers here, but the muta count is still a little bit too high. Zeal will come to the fence and be there in time, but 2 cannons are going down on his main. JimRising currently has 9 mutas out of the map, and by the way, there are these, there's a ton of hallucinated Phoenixes for Zeal. Always good with the scouts, but Hydralisk range is on the way, and speed both queued up, but these Hydras kind of coming around counterclockwise in the top. They will hit this 3rd base. There's so many sentries here for Zeal, but if the Hydra can get in a good position, they could punish Zeal so much for this. We'll see how good the force fields are, actually. Instantly, Guardian Shield goes up, being very careful, but this is just a phenomenal army for JimRising. He can hit 2 points incredibly easy. You just to be careful about not getting force fielded in.
Yeah, the double Stargate here from Zeal. He's probably going to pump out a bunch of Phoenix, but it doesn't look like JimRising wants to make any more mutas. I think he was happy with just the 10 or so mutas he made. And if these Stargates start pumping Phoenix, it's going to be hard for them to contest the Roach Hydra army.
It will be really hard to contest the Roach Hydra army, but with Stargate pumping Phoenixes, it's going to cut into the Blink Stalkers. Whatever Zeal was doing with that Twilight Council, all of that has just kind of been ruined. His investment is not going to pay off. Maybe he's defended for now, but he's lost a total of 11 workers now, 17, 18 in total, and these mutas are just reigning free. There's a lovely sweet spot on the right-hand side of your guys' screen that they can sit. Now Hydra's moving into the 3rd base of Zeal. Are the force fields good? They could be really good right here. Kind of. They will get 1 Hydra right there. More Roaches, more Hydras coming in, but basically what Zeal needed to do is completely lock off that 3rd base, which is not quite what he's doing. And now, half a Protest army, the Stalker Sentry cannot fight on its own, but it can fight half the opponent's army. We'll see if that goes down. Right there, that's what's happening.
Yeah, some pretty good force fields here from Zeal. He's splitting the army up enough to take favorable engagements, but the supply is just so in favor of JimRising at this point.
Not only supply, but he's also ahead by 30 workers and an entire base, pretty much an entire base right there. So JimRising can just throw Hydras into his opponent, and these Stalkers right here, is there Blink for them? There is Blink for them, but there's no sentries here. This is game 1 of a best-of-3 series. Been going back and forth with JimRising. Looks like he's going to edge out here. The flank, or at least the concave on the left-hand side, being finished by JimRising. There's the JJ! JimRising takes game 1. Follows the history of the first series.
Yeah, that was just a perfect response to the 2-gate. Scouting, it definitely helps a lot. But following the scout, he just basically said, okay, I've won this game. You can sit back and try to macro, but I'll just macro better than you and kill you. And that's exactly what he did.
And with knowing that Zeal was going to keep doing those hallucinated Phoenix scouts, even though we saw JimRising go into mutas, because there was no pressure immediately on